holidays are now over, New Year's just beginning, we're all getting back to doing what we normally do. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, AI-generated horrors. Since I don't want to become a one-trick pony all the time, I'll make this the last video on the Lovecraftian AI subject, at least for the time being. Don't get me wrong, it's fun. I love seeing what the AI can come up with just from these vague descriptions here. So who knows where I could go from here? It could be more AI art on a different subject, it could be more Lovecraftian lore stuff, or an entirely different topic altogether. I'm sure someone in the comments section will have their own ideas as to where to take it from here. But for now, let's move on. Beyond life, there are things that I cannot distinguish. They move slowly through angles. They have no bodies, and they move slowly through outrageous angles. God, they are breaking through! They're breaking through! Smoke is pouring in from the corners of the walls. Their tongues. Hounds of Tindalos are kind of like the corner folk of Lovecraftian lore and mythology. It's almost like oddly angled corners seem to serve as portals to another plane of existence. So there's no telling what form these things might take, especially since they don't really have a form when you get right down to it. What we got here are some depictions of people being terrified of something coming out of a corner or crack in the wall, which would make for a good illustration in a book somewhere. The photos, on the other hand, start showing some kind of strange, almost unidentifiable shape obscured by heavy mist, which I find more fitting for mysterious hounds, who may not even be hounds at all. The more vague and mysterious, the better. And then we ended up with a mysterious, yellow-robed figure. Kind of reminds me of a particular king out there who might wear, well, you know the color of his robes. And he seems to be presiding over a set of dead bodies or sleeping people, probably dead bodies, all wrapped up in everything. But what is that in the corner there? The madness and monstrosity lay in the figures in the foreground, for Pickman's morbid art was preeminently one of demoniac portraiture. These figures were seldom completely human, but often approach humanity in varying degrees. Most of the bodies, while roughly bipedal, had a forward, slumping, and vaguely canine cast. The texture of the majority was a kind of an unpleasant rubberiness. Well, as it turns out, I keep getting artistic depictions that are highly exaggerated and almost to a point of, I guess, surrealism of people working underground. Although the ghouls are subterranean creatures for the most part, these depictions wouldn't seem out of the ordinary in whatever art gallery I could think of. Although in all fairness, Pickman was a painter, and his paintings are known for being disturbing. But that's mostly in reference to a specific figure that he used as a model. So I decided to focus on the description of the model itself. It was a colossal and nameless blasphemy with glaring red eyes, and it held in its bony claws a thing that had been a man, gnawing at the head as a child nibbles at a stick of candy. Its position was a kind of crouch, and as one looked, one felt that at any moment it might drop its present prey and seek a juicier morsel. But damn it all, it wasn't even the fiendish subject that made it such an immortal fountainhead of all panic. Not that, nor the dog face with its pointed ears, bloodshot eyes, flat nose, and drooling lips. It wasn't the scaly claws, nor the mold-caked body, nor the half-hoof feet. None of these, though any one of them might as well have driven an excitable man to madness. This arrangement just got me a whole set of angry-looking dogs and a mule. But that was just when I put it through Lexicon. Once I put the description through Stable Diffusion, I had to physically download a particular GitHub version of it, since the online version kept doing this every time I put a whole paragraph in there. I actually got something that's a fair bit more worthy of Pigment's style of art. The creature depicted does seem to be a very strange and unnaturally deformed version of what might have been a human being at one point, and it carries a more gaunt and menacing features. I just wish the AI knew how to make it feel anatomically correct despite not being anatomically fully human at that point, as was described in the actual story. He was very squat and pot-bellied. His head was more like a monstrous toad than a deity, and his whole body was covered with an imitation of short fur, giving somehow a vague sensation of both bat and the sloth. His sleepy lids were half lowered over his globular eyes. The tip of a queer tongue issued from his fat mouth. There's not much I can really say about this one other than good job, Stable Diffusion. You seem to have gotten this one wholly correct. That is, in terms of the description and being exactly what I would imagine, although I do admit this one looks a little too cute. I mean, let's be real here, guys. Imagine you're a hunter within, say, a Hyperborean age. You pissed off a sorcerer, mage, magic user, whatever. Point is, he's magical. You pissed him off, so he sends you a geisha, of which a geisha is really just a spell, guys, in this case. A spell that kind of compels you. But what it does is it compels you to go feed yourself to Tsathoggua. So you walk out and you try to feed yourself to this thing. I feel like I should be tossing this thing dog treats, not live human beings. Maybe this is just that wizard's way of taming his god pet. It burst from the ground, a noxious blaze of green flame and light. The air crackled with energy as the thing billowed upward, expanding and contracting at times as like the breath of an unseen demon. Casting no shadows and releasing no heat, just an icy cold, this unearthly fire kissed the ground and the walls of the cave, leaving stone discolored and stained with a patina of green-blue. The hell smell of sulfur caught in our throats, while our eyes could not turn away from the deadly flames. This description yielded me a strange green flame just emerging out of various forms of cave structures or stoneworks, instantly giving off the sense of something supernatural occurring within this phenomenon. Green flame emerging from a deep hole could very well be the form of which Tulzcha takes upon entering our realm, and it's always been described as a column of green flame emerging from the center of the earth. And then I beheld a strange landscape, wasteland in nature, and engulfed almost entirely in green flame. Amidst the scorched stones, I could make out some ruins off in the distance. Buildings that are not only crumbling, but just melting off of the green hot flame. A hellscape that is just as nightmarish as it is alien. And that just got me thinking, what if I have better luck with environments? This is the thing that troubles me, for I cannot forget Carcosa, where black stars hand in the heavens, where the shadows of men's thoughts lengthen in the afternoon, where the twin suns sink into the Lake Hali, and my mind will bear forever the memory of the pallid mask. Stable Diffusion took this interpretation to portray an artistic vision of what the narrator must think of himself or must be thinking of at the moment. Certainly not a city or any environmental locale that I can think of, although they wouldn't seem out of place when involving the King in Yellow or other works within the weird Talesian or I guess cosmic horror sphere or mythos adjacent works. I keep forgetting which sphere we're on. The Cthulhu mythos canon is a complicated mess at the moment. But since I was looking for something resembling a landscape or a city, I decided to go to Lexica to generate this quote into an image. Since Free Image Generator decided to shut down, the images I got from there were far more satisfactory, giving off ornate structures with a much more Eastern style vibe, with one showing what appears to be a cartoonishly dark figure with a perfectly round head and eyes that glow just like the setting sun that just seem to be either opening or closing. The figure has a pointed head like that of a Asian-style rooftop, and it almost seems to be rising up from the horizon in order to contrast the setting sun, all the while being housed in a thick black archway with a cross adorned on top. And then the next image seems to be that of a highly ornate object or structure with the face of a skull with teeth that elongate out to what seems to be tendrils, and the surface seems to have an orange metallic shine to it. The object itself seems to reside in a desert next to a lake. In the interest of getting the full Carcosa, I decided to use the barest of descriptions for the image generator, and Stable Diffusion gave me this image. Just because it's in the King in Yellow doesn't mean it has to be all yellow, guys, but this actually kinda works. The mysterious, misty lake with some slight reflections here and there. The strangely bright sky that seems to have stars in it. And strangely alien buildings like that of Carcosa. I could see this on the cover of a book, to be honest. But I think this will be the best we can get out of Carcosa for now. So for now, let's depart this twin Black Sun city. Then came pale movement in the well, and something clambered up in the dark, a bloated, blanched oval supported on a myriad of fleshless legs. Eyes formed in a gelatinous oval and stared at him. The description of Eihort has given me some strange towering entities whose upper torso kind of devolves into an amorphous mass of strange limbs or tendrils. The environment itself seems to be a cave-dwelling environment. The other image is that of a seemingly translucent sack of flesh or a fleshy type of creature, kind of like that of a jellyfish that's been beached on the beach sand, with some slight bumps here and there. Other than that, nothing too much out of the ordinary. And then there's this one. I guess that's Eihort with a humanoid face crawling up from a well? I don't get it, but it's terrifying. And those bumps look like they're about to squirt out some infectious fluid, so I'm gonna get away from this thing right now. That's as close as I can come. The mouths was like leaves, and the whole thing was like a tree in the wind. A black tree with lots of branches trailing to the ground, and a whole lot of roots ending in hooves. And that green slime dripping out of the mouths and down the legs was like sap. It came crawling up the hillside to the altar and the sacrifice. And it was the black thing of my dreams. That black, ropey, slimy, jelly tree thing of the woods. It crawled up and flowed up on its hooves and mouth and snaky arms. And the men bowed and stood back, and then it got to the altar, where there was something squirming on top. Squirming and screaming. There is some creepypasta level stuff going on in these images. There are some trees whose shape scare me enough already, but to add a gaping maw to them, I mean, this image right here doesn't even look like a full-on tree. It looks like an amorphous mass with trees growing out of it, with its roots turning into reaching, clawing, groping arms, its gaping maw wide open, ready to receive its meal or whatever it consumes. Worst of all, it's so well disguised that I could easily see someone mistakenly get too close to it and getting caught up in one of its many limbs. The next image is somehow even more ominous, yet at the same time inviting, for the maw itself took on a form of an opening into the ground, almost like an open grave, or even just a cellar doorway. I could almost see steps going deeper into the maw, while flanked by very arm-like roots that look literally like hands, arms, ready to reach out, or almost as if the tree itself is crawling forward with these arms. It's almost as if they're trying to invite you in. Kind of reminds me of the story of the tomb, one of Lovecraft's older stories, where you find a gateway into the hell through an underground tomb. Which is very much like what happens in Diablo. But images like these make these kinds of plant life not only seem like they're alive, but animate as well. As if they can, at this very moment, move and reach out to you. It also makes me question whether or not they're as stationary as trees ought to be. The final image is more of a tree combined with a horse, which makes me wonder if there's some kind of beautiful, mystical element to any of this. Imagine if, say, you found a magical creature off in the wilderness that's also part tree. Not in a sort of Spriggan sort of sense, in that they're part humanoid, part tree, but also part animal, part tree. Although this may have something to do with the association with hooves in the dark young. Speaking of dark young, let's see how their mother turns out. An enormous mass which extrudes black tentacles, slime dripping mouths, and short, writhing goat legs. Small creatures are continually spat forth by the monstrosity, which are either consumed into the miasmic form or escape to some monstrous life elsewhere. Admittedly, there's no actual in-book description of Shub-Niggurath, so I used the description that was given on the Lovecraft wiki forums, which is all for the best considering that Lovecraft descriptions tend to be not only paragraphs long, but sometimes even pages long. As you can see, the generator decided to focus more on the tentacle part of the description. No slime dripping mouths, no writhing goat legs, just black tentacles that seemingly cover up the full form of Shub-Niggurath. Which is all the better considering that these are supposed to be creatures with which we will end up losing our sanity if we ever see the full form. It kind of reminds me of how biblically accurate angels would cover up their bodies with their wings, their mini wings, because human beings can't survive looking at them. That might be what's going on here with the tentacles. And so I'm fine with this one. And I'd say with that, I've covered the big three of the great cosmic deities that are out there, being Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth, and Shub-Niggurath. Although there is one more thing I can show you guys, where the sanity loss might be the least of your problems. Oozing and surging up out of that yawning trap door in the Cyclopean crypt, I had glimpsed such an unbelievable, behemoths monstrosity that I could not doubt the power of its original to kill with its mere sight. Even now, I cannot begin to suggest it with any sort of words at my command. I might call it gigantic, tentacled, proboscidean, octopus-eyed, semi-amorphous, plastic, partly squamous and partly rugose. Yeah! But nothing I could say could even adumbrate the loathsome, unholy, non-human, extragalactic horror and hatefulness and unutterable evil of that forbidden spawn of black chaos and illegitimate night. As I write these words, the associated mental image causes me to lean back faint and nauseated. Now, you didn't think I was really gonna show you Ghatanathoa, did you? You do realize that if you so much as see a mere image of Ghatanathoa, just a mere picture of Ghatanathoa, you will suffer the curse, which is to mummify you in a way that your skin hardens into leather and your organs are forever preserved, making you fully aware of the fact that you have been petrified for the rest of eternity, with no real cure on the horizon either. I mean, you'd have to be insane or suicidal to just want to see an image of Ghatanathoa. I'm surprised none of you have stopped the video up until this point. I mean, do you guys really want to see Ghatanathoa? Seriously? Okay, but don't say I didn't warn you. As for those of you who still like being animate, I'll be showing a single frame of Ghatanathoa in 3, 2, 1. Did you get it? Well, if you're still flesh and blood, then you didn't get it, and consider yourself lucky. This is Scarfy, and remember, there are some things out there that are not meant to be seen.